a couple of things that were contributing to some of the errors yesterday. First of all, streaming off the cloud drive has worked in the past with previous versions of Unreal Engine. But for some reason, there is a massive delay at 45% in terms of firing up Unreal Engine. And I didn't realize that it was recompiling a lot of the shaders that I'd already compiled way back in the day, because I'm obviously working on a new version of Unreal and launching it for the first time. So there's the shader compiling issue that you'll run into. The other thing, I did not realize that I was hopscotching between two versions of Unreal, the 4.26 preview beta and 4.254, I think it is. A little schoolboy error, right? Simply because these two icons were both labeled Unreal Engine. So I was losing track of what was what. So just a simple fix of just renaming them, 426, 425, saved me a whole heap of headaches. A little schoolboy error. I should have spotted that. Oh well. There you go. So we're back in business. I'm currently relaunching the editor. Now it's a blank project, so hopefully we'll be able to get this sorted out. Now, one of the things that I had to sort out that I didn't want to torture you guys with is the fact that not only does the content have to be the same on both instances of Unreal that you're trying to connect together over a network, but they also have to have the exact same plugin profile. All the same plugins, everything, or it's just not going to work. So that's what I'm currently doing. I've just put in, activated the two sets of plugins side by side here, VPNing into my machine downstairs and making sure that the plugins all lined up. So we're just waiting for that guy to fire up, and then we're going to connect these bad boys together. So one of the things I'm going to do is pretty much rebuild the trailer from the ground up. There are a few different things that I have to kind of remember about this Hyper project in terms of how I organized it. So I believe I did have scene cuts, and I think there was a level streaming track that controlled how the levels would stream in and stream out. So, you know, typically you'd have a bunch of camera shots from various different locations, right? And then you'd take the footage and you cut them together in a timeline. Well, when you're looking at the level sequencer, all your locations are there inside of Unreal. So it's fairly large and unwieldy. And what you literally do is you load one level, and then when you switch to another camera shot, different location, you unload that level and you load in the next level. It sounds very, very cumbersome and unwieldy, but I did have it set up so the camera cuts were working quite nicely. I think my first go at this, I was getting confused with what was a spawnable asset and what was a possessable asset. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. But I think that's another area that needs a little bit of forethought. So you need to sit down and think carefully about what assets already exist in the scene, or what are you going to stream in and stream out. I think the big issue with me was I had some cameras that were possessable and others spawnable. And in my camera shot list, I was getting quite confused as to what camera was doing what. So there's that issue, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then there's also, I believe I ran into a tendency with Unreal to create cine camera actors as well, I believe. Not sure, but we'll take a look at that again. Okay, so here, hopefully, and that's the cool thing about this stream, everything's happening live. Hopefully I've got this set up so that they're both identical instances of the identical project with identical plugins loaded, right? Now this problem would be sort of circumvented again with Perforce, and like when I do set that up, I'm going to have to set up the Perforce server here just because of COVID, but that gives me a wonderful opportunity to sort of stream the process, sort of. I'm going to have to take video. Oh, actually, I can Twitch stream off my phone. So it'll be a variety of different streams where I hopscotch back and forth. I'll bring my phone down, show you where I physically set it up, how I connect it, and then we'll sit down at a PC with AnyDesk active, and I'll show you how to connect up the client-server relationship. So I make it sound complicated, client-server relationship, but really it's just one PC's the master and it's running everything, and your other PCs just sort of dial in. All right, so this guy downstairs will be my server. So let's get that session browser going up. I'm crossing my fingers now, guys. This is the moment of truth. And we're going to launch a server. There we go. Right. So we know we're good when we have this pop up. So that's cool. So we're running a server here. Now, I'm not entirely sure if I then have to join the server here, but let's see if we can connect with our client. So here I am in the upstairs computer, and I'm acting as a woebegone artist. And I'm going to click on the multi-user utilities. Oh, there's a bit of a lag there. And then we'll see if we can bring up the multi-session browser again and then dive right in. Oh, crikey. Nothing has been more evidently clear in the last several months that one of the key things that the world will need to re-examine is our bandwidth situation. I think, I'm running fiber, I believe. Yeah, I am. And there needs to be a really comprehensive high-speed solution going forward. We've tried a few things in the past. Do you remember the age of cable modems and that sort of a thing? But yeah, something definitely needs to be done. And I think one of the things we have to be wary of is the political gentry. They are attempting to create a high-speed traffic type scenario that's exclusive for, they say, military, but really it's just for big corporations and things like that. Well, now I sound like a conspiracy theorist guy, but we just have to be careful that net neutrality is maintained. But in addition to that, any technological infrastructure that's put in place should be treated, in my opinion, like freeways. And they call the internet the information highway. It should be treated that way. There aren't roads that are high-speed roads that are exclusive for a certain clientele. Everybody's allowed to travel everywhere, right? So that's sort of my ethos towards how we approach the internet. Okay, so I'm here. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to join that active session. Invalid project name. Expected trailer 1 got teaser 1. Okay, that's cool. That just means, which instance did I open up? That's not. Let's open a project here. I think it might be this one. Right. No, I opened up the teaser one here, so that's cool. Let's double check this guy. Let's come over here and I don't want to open a Laravel. Oh, that's right. I think I opened it inside of here. Okay, that doesn't make sense. So we've got teaser 1. Right? Let's reopen that project. That brings up an interesting, okay, so season 1, teaser 1, right? What's this one? Season 1, teaser 1. So it is remembering project naming from somewhere. Man, that's unfortunate. Okay, let's take a look at what the server window is telling us here. Reason, invalid project name, TR01. But we weren't in TR01. That's the big problem. I wonder if it's just the server I created, because it automatically launched the server. I wonder if I have to create another server with the correct naming conventions and tags. So let's try that, right? Let me take a look at the multi-session browser. Ah, yeah, so there we go. So this hyper setup, the session project is SO1TR01. So when I originally set up this server, I was inside that project. Got it. Okay, so let's come over here and what's this archive? Archive the session? Yeah, let's archive the session. No, let's not archive the session, but we don't need to join it. I think at the server level, I'll just delete it. So when this launches, I'm going to create another multi-user server with the correct project identification. Wow, it's really touchy, isn't it? You got to be exactly in the right project. And again, I'm lamenting not having Perforce. Man. But there we go. We should be good to go once this launches. I know that to a lot of you out there, this might seem like a huge hassle, right? And it is to a certain degree. At the end of the day, I'm rushing to simulate this multi-user connection, but really I'm going to be working mostly by myself on this, mostly at home at a singular PC. So you don't really need to go through this whole rigmarole. But the benefit of it is that I have a few different PCs, so I tend to move around, right? So if I've got a multi-user server in a singular project, I can open it up, have one PC doing one thing, batch operating on something or other, and using all the resources towards that, and I can go to my other PC and then log into the same session and do a few other things. Foliage, right? So I can have one PC maybe spamming out foliage, and then I can go downstairs and do some character animating inside the same project or that kind of a thing. But in addition to that, mostly why I wanted to kind of run through this is it's a good opportunity to explore how a connection such as this might work in a larger studio or a larger facility, right? And then with you kind of knowing a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes, it makes integration into a studio environment a little bit easier. Here's that 45% that I was talking about, where we're sitting and hanging on that. Now, with this 45%, I need to investigate that a little bit further. I'm not entirely sure if the delay is caused by streaming off Google's Cloud Drive, or if it's some sort of situation where shaders are being compiled again and again and again. Earlier iterations of Unreal Engine, the shader compilation happened once, and then that was it, right? And then sort of project load-up times were quite snappy, actually, pretty quick, especially in the initial stages. While this is loading up, the other thing to sort of point out to you guys is when you get to a large sort of unwieldy project, oftentimes you'll get different trunks that will update and build for different groups, right? So once you get to like a massive multi-level project, loads of hundreds and hundreds of assets in the game project all at the same time, doing something like this where you update your Perforce and you load up your game, it takes forever. Back in the day, it used to be sort of get latest revision from the Perforce server and then go and grab a cup of coffee, right? So oftentimes on a game team, they'll create trunks. So environment guys will only update the environment section and load up the environment section, and then vice versa. So you have the character people doing their own thing. Coders who need no art assets at all can build their own trunk without any game assets, right? So, there's ways of managing a tremendous amount of data in a manner that won't disrupt anybody's work, right? Oh yeah, and the final point of going through all of this stuff is in case you guys want to do a multi-user project with you and your buddies, the easiest way is for you guys to be working out of one game project as opposed to, say there's 3 of you, you got 3 different Unreal Engine projects going, and then you invariably get in that conversation, hey, have you got building 1? No, I've got building 2. Where's building version 5? I don't know. Didn't we delete building version 5? Oh yeah, it was building version 6, wasn't it? Whose machine is building version 6 on? Oh, it's halfway across town. Oh man, so I can't do this texturing. That sort of stuff. Believe me, it happens on professional game teams as well. I've been involved with a few projects that left me a bit flabbergasted when the studios would do what I call verbal updates, i.e., yelling across the studio floor. Hey, have you got the latest revision on this asset? Yeah, okay, I'll run it over on a USB key now. Stuff like that. Yeah, seriously. All right. Okay, so while we're waiting for Season 1, Teaser 1 to load up, I'll talk a little bit about what I'm trying to accomplish here. So this is sort of like a journal of me trying to put together a really, really quick teaser for an animated television series called Hyper. And it's just about a girl who's a racer, and she gets recruited to represent Earth in intergalactic races. That's it. That's not a pitch. That's a high concept. The pitch, and you catch this in my storytelling streams, but a pitch invariably talks a little bit more about who the character is, where they're coming from, what the problem they're trying to solve in their lives, and how they get there in the end. But the high concept is intergalactic races with Earth's rep. So I want to put together a teaser test. Now I want to focus purely on the animatic and pre-visualization, so you won't see me using any of my assets in the beginning. But thankfully, the Unreal Engine Marketplace has a plethora of free assets that we can use to play with, especially in terms of setting up the cinematic. You guys are so lucky, I swear to God. There's so many free utilities and assets out there for you to dive in and start playing with right away at very, very high visual level, right? So that's my first stage, is try to put together a visual prototype. It'll take me a few months to do, right? And then from there, we start talking about, well, okay, how we're going to build out another trailer from this using custom assets, using my art-directed look for the show, right? So that's where we're going to go. Now, I'm going to create another server. Because I was the server creator, I wonder if I can delete this. Yes, I can. So something I didn't notice, that when I was using my login and my Unreal Engine here, I couldn't delete this. But running it from the downstairs server, yes, I can, because the computer downstairs is acting as the owner of the project, right? So that's cool. So I'm going to pop in here and let's create another server. Launch multi-user server. I did click it. Let me try clicking here. There you go. Multi-user server launched. That's cool, right? So with that server launched, now I can create a session. We'll call this session Hyper, and call it Teaser 1. I'll drop the SO1 for Season 1, right? And we'll leave it at that. Creating session Hyper. It's attempting a remote connection. That's cool. Should not take too long, because that remote connection is going from my server computer to my server computer downstairs. So I have a suspicion that's the initial connection. So we create a session that's running on the server, i.e. that PC, and then that PC's instance of Unreal is joining itself, right? Now we've got this session. Yep, cool, right? So there, now it's working properly. Here we've got our session, Hyper Teaser 1, and we've got me, Al Kang, I've just joined it, right? Now, I'm on the upstairs PC. So let's come back in here. Let's see if we just open up the session browser again, if it'll just refresh. Yeah. So there's Hyper Teaser 1. Right click and then join. Attempting remote connection. So here's where we cross our fingers. See all the niggly little things that can go wrong when you're trying to connect to an identical session. So just to recap, we ran into latency issues with streaming off the Google Drive and using soft ether, so I'm going to have to investigate that. The second point is each instance of Unreal has to be identical. The same plugins, the same everything, right? Ooh, I wonder if this will work because I'm missing a Houdini plugin. Cross my fingers. Yes, we've joined the session, right? And lastly, making sure that you create a session for the project, because the metadata remembers the name of the project that you created the session for, right? So that's cool, very interesting. Now, let's close this up. So there's vis-a-vis and there's Alkang Art, right? So I am vis-a-vis. So it's not taking, actually, interestingly enough, it's not taking the name that I assigned initially as a user. It's grabbing the name of the login ID, right? So if I come in here, the login ID is vis-a-vis. So, so it's querying the Windows logins to grab your name. The server downstairs, the user login. Let's take a look. It's interesting just to make these little notes. I don't think this is something that was covered in sort of previous tutorials and things like that. Let's see, will my Windows key work here? Or I think I have to action. Try the Windows key. Oh, it does work. Okay, so if we come over here, yep. Let me maximize this so you guys can see. If I come over here, that's Alkang Art. So this is where it's grabbing the user ID. So that's kind of interesting because remember we went into our our plugin preferences up here. I'll show you. So when we come in here, we went up into the edit project settings. It was right. And let's open up the project settings. And down at the bottom here, under the plugins multi-user editing, remember we defined this? Oh, actually, looks like it's forgotten it. So let's change it. Let's change it up now. I wonder if it might auto-detect. If not, we might have to rejoin. So that's fine. I'm just going to set the display name to Connor. And I'm going to set the avatar color to blue. It's interesting how Unreal, the guys at Epic have realized there are certain things that people are using Unreal Engine for, and they'll make them default on, like enabling the multi-user toolbar has defaulted to on. Right. So they understand that people are using it in this capacity. More so now during coronavirus, right? So let's see if it auto-detected it. Let's open up our multi-user session browser. No, it hasn't detected it. So let's come in here and do we right-click on this guy? No, we come here and we leave the current session. Right. So if we leave that session, we should be able to join back. I'll leave the downstairs one at Alkang Art. I'm okay with that. While it's doing that, actually, let's just kind of curious. Now I'm logged into the downstairs computer, and I'm going to go over to my edit project settings. I don't mind the name being kept the same. I just want to see what the default avatar color is. Multi-user editing. Yeah, you know what? I'll just leave it. That's fine. Okay. So we've come out of there, and let's right-click and let's join this guy again. And then once we connect, I'm going to do a little bit of exploring. A few different things in here that'll be interesting to take a look at. All right, there we go. So now we've got Connor here, and show the presence for this client. Hold control to all connected client. That's cool. Okay. Yep, come on in. Yeah, come on in. You're not in front of the camera. Yeah. Okay, one sec, guys. I'm just going to flip to the be right back screen. There you go. Blame your son.
No. Okay. I'll call him once it shows.
Okay, so the visibility here. Hold control. Yeah, and click. Well, let's see what's going on here. Now, I want to pop into here for a sec. And let's navigate around. So, is that me? I believe it is. Okay. So now, I'm in this session. And if I flip back over to the server session, actually, I'll keep this like this so we can check out what's happening. One of the things that I wanted to sort of test out and see as well is the latency, right? There we go. Oh. So there's Connor. Okay. So when I activate the viewport, then we see that real-time change. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Oh, that has to do with the AnyDesk, the VPN connection delay, right? So I had to click on this screen so it would refresh and all that kind of stuff. That's very cool. So now the question becomes, how many people can hook up and join together, right? I will be right back. Hey, Connor. You want to come here for a sec? Check it out. So this is AnyDesk running a session of Unreal downstairs, right? And this is you up here, right? So I can be working on building a level downstairs, and you can be up here doing it, and I can see you, right?
Wait, so why
So
do
you
you
can
have
do-
to use my computer then?
What's that?
Why do you have to use my computer?
No, I'm using your computer for teaching because of the audio and video stuff,
Why
right?
didn't you move the microphone down there? Why don't you just use...
Oh, because if I move the microphone downstairs, right?
Hmm.
I interrupt Mom when she's working on her PC. I also effectively take over the living room, right? So, yeah. It's a lot easier to do here. I know. You've always got the laptop you can flip to as well, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, just wanted to
That's
show you
the
that
idea,
successful
actually. It's
successful connection, right? So
Can I borrow your Logitech mouse? Because then I can play on the laptop.
yeah, you know what? I can't find the other Logitech mouse. I'll come and help you.
Because the laptop's like right.
Yeah.
It can be hard to...
Yeah, I need to find where I put that Logitech mouse. I'll come in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Once I'm done.
Yeah.
All right. You'll close the door for me, please?
Oh, yeah.
Okie doke, guys, I'm back. I just wanted to show that active connection to my son. Just because it'll be interesting. Well, it's just going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun building stuff together inside of Unreal. So, yeah, that's it. I just wanted to do a connection test today. I'm getting prepped for my visual studies class a little bit later. So I'm going to be popping back on here and we'll do some drawing. And then we'll pick it up